Henry Ford once quoted, whether you think you're right or you think you're wrong, you're right. I started skating when I was 4 years old, and that didn't start with ambition. It started with a pair of skates gifted by my father. I didn't know what competition meant, I didn't know what sacrifices meant. But very early on, someone else tried to decide which part of that court I would belong to. My first ever coach told my parents that I wouldn't be able to skate properly because I was left handed. And in speed skating, you have to have your right side stronger to push to the left. He said I wasn't built for the sport. But my father, who was an athlete himself, didn't argue or convince the coach. But he took it personally, not with anger or ego, but with belief. Like any supportive parent, when someone says your child can't do something, he wanted to go and prove them that your child could. So he went and did something unexpected. He did a certification in speed skating as a coach and started training me. He had no idea what the sport was. I was his first risk, first project, first guinea pig. And I just didn't learn the sport, I dominated it. I became one of the best at it. With over 15 national medals, 3 Asian medals, and a top 6 finishes in the World Championship for the past 3 years. This story isn't about winning medals. It's about what it did to our thinking. It changed our mindset. Although my father didn't know what the sport was, he had no idea if it would work or not, but he still stood strong with his conviction. And that created a ripple effect. He believed that discipline can be learned, skill can be taught, and limitations can be challenged. And as I started performing better, other skaters' parents started noticing it, and they wanted their kids to eat in under my father too. What started as one man standing up for his son turned into a club. And that club just didn't produce athletes. It produced possibilities, it produced confidence, it produced discipline. This very belief had grown beyond our home. Seeing this, my mother also did her certification in speed skating as a coach and started training specially able children for the Special Olympics. My sister too became a national champion and a university champion. What started as one belief became a culture in our home. And that's when I realized when your efforts are honest, when your intentions are right, and you're willing to put the work, growth will find a way towards you. Remember this, resilience is not about having the perfect conditions. It's about continuing when the conditions aren't perfect. This was the first ever lesson I learned. It had nothing to do with winning. For over the past 18 years, this sport has taken me far beyond that first lesson. It has taken me across borders. I've traveled to different countries for almost about 26 countries, if I'm not wrong. Different cultures, different people, different languages. But one thing remained the same is the discipline. Whether I was in Asia, I was in Europe, or anywhere else, the food might have changed, but the mindset didn't. And that's when I realized something about athletes. They are explorers by design. Every race and every competition is an exploration. And after every competition, there's a question. Can I be better? Can I be stronger? Can I skate faster? When you live with those questions inside your mind, something happens to you. Sports trains your mind to taste growth, not comfort. And that instinct doesn't just stay at the track, it follows you into life. You start exploring cities differently, you start exploring yourself, and you start understanding people differently. But here's the part that people don't see. You all see the travel photos, the competitions, the flags and podiums, but nobody sees the empty tracks, the early mornings, the missed birthdays and celebrations. Sport never, and every single day there's a quiet question. Is it really worth the risk? Sport never answered that to me. It trained me to answer it myself. Because chasing growth, progress, and exploration are uncomfortable. And we all know that comfort never created champions. It never created extraordinary lives either. Let me be honest, chasing a sport is very lonely. There are days when I've lost motivation, there are days when progress felt invisible, and there are days when I felt and I questioned everything. And I want to give up more than once. And I want to give up more than once. And it took me some time to understand something. Sometimes it's not just the body that needs rest, it's your mind. Your mind needs a reset. And during those times, no coach, no parent, no therapist can give you the answer. It's just you and your self belief. Because at the end of the day, self belief is the only voice that stays when all the noise fades. There will be times when progress feels invisible. There will be times when you won't be able to achieve something, but you're still showing up, still standing. That is where self belief isn't a motivation anymore, it becomes a foundation. And every athlete lives on faith. Faith that today's pain is tomorrow's progress. Faith that all the work you've been putting up in silence will speak one day. And over the years, I realized something that I don't like saying no to growth. Whether I'm uncomfortable, unaware, or I'm tired, I don't like saying no to effort. I don't like saying no to one more try. That has become a quiet role in my life. Because talent might give you a head start, but belief is what keeps you going when the excitement fades. Recently, I went cliff jumping. People called it crazy. But being an athlete, trusting the leap sounded familiar. We have been doing it all our lives. You train, you sacrifice, you prepare. You take a step forward and you jump. No guarantees, no certainties, just trust. Sport trains your mind to be comfortable with that feeling. To walk a path where not everyone understands you. To keep continuing when nobody's clapping. To believe even before there's proof. That mindset doesn't just build champions. It builds people who don't give up. What do you think is the biggest reward in sports? Many of you might tell appreciation, fame, medals, and money. Medals and money, people might think it's one of the biggest reward because it's the most visible one. But the real reward is invisible. Let me ask you this. Who are you when things don't go your way? Who are you when nobody's watching? That is where sport changes you. The real reward is the person you become. The one who learns to fail without quitting. The one who shows up when the motivation disappears. The one who adapts through injuries, setbacks, losses. That transformation is a real victory. One of the greatest moments isn't just standing on the podium. It's when a young athlete looks up to you and sees possibilities. Not as an achiever, not as a medalist, but someone that they can become. There's a different kind of pride in that, a deeper one. Pride of responsibility, pride of purpose. Today, as the founder of Trinity Racing, I train multiple young athletes across India. And the first thing I tell them is this. You will never become a champion if you don't learn to love the journey. And even if you don't become a champion, sports will make you unstoppable in life. Because sports isn't just about building faster skaters, it's about building stronger humans. I tell them to enjoy the process. I tell them to embrace the setbacks, embrace the losses, embrace the injuries, and the days when you feel like there's no motivation. Just focus on being 1% better than yesterday. Not every day is a step forward. As they say, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That is not failure, that is growth. If you don't learn to love the journey, no amount of medals will ever be enough. People often ask me, can you build a career and still chase a sport? And my answer is simple. Sport doesn't take away from your career. It prepares you for it because sport is the only thing that teaches you where no other classroom can. The first thing is time management. When you're handling both studies and your training. Second thing is pressure handling, when everything is on the line. Third is leadership, when your team is counting on you. And the fourth is accountability, when excuses are easier, but discipline is harder. These are not just motivational quotes, these are survival skills. And every athlete practices them daily. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a professional, a student, or you're doing something from scratch, if you think like an athlete, you will do more than expected. Because athletes don't wait to feel ready. They prepare until they are. They don't stop when it becomes difficult, they adjust. And they don't fear pressure, they train for it. Because the world doesn't reward comfort, it rewards the people who train to do more. And when you carry that mindset into life, you stop competing with others, you start competing with your own potential. And not everyone here needs to be an athlete, but everyone here needs something that will train them to push, to grow, and to explore. For me, it was the sport. For you, it could be anything: art, science, business, exploration. Choose something that will make you uncomfortable. Choose something that will demand discipline. And choose something that teaches you how to stand alone. Because the world doesn't reward comfort, it does reward people who train to do more. And when life feels confusing, when doubts creep in, and everything feels heavier than it should, remember this. Throw away the magnifying glass and take a step back. You will see the bigger picture. And when you see the bigger picture, doubts fade away, fear softens, and the confusion's clear. Perspective changes everything. And remember, in the beginning, I told you, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I believed I could. My parents believed I could. And that very belief built everything that you heard today. So, whatever your arena is, believe, because belief is where it all begins. This is Dhanush Babu, an athlete, a mentor, an explorer, and as always, a son. Thank you.